The Caravan and Motorhome Club offers some of the most developed and modern campsites in the whole of the UK. But campsites and caravanning in general has changed a lot over the last half a century. To take you on a bit of a trip down memory lane, we're here in my very special 60-year-old Sprite 400 that was actually bought by my grandparents just over 50 years ago. Caravanning in the 1960s was very different to what it is today. It was actually strangely much more popular, but kind of by default, because if you were a young family, it was pretty much the only way that you could get your family on the road and enjoying a holiday, because of course the package holiday hadn't been invented yet. Pretty much everyone would have been aware of Sprite caravans back then, because they were Britain's main predominant manufacturer of mass-produced, affordable caravans. Back in 1966, when this particular caravan was built, the Sprite 400 was one of the best-selling caravans, not just in Britain, but in the world. In fact, they built so many of these that they won the Queen's Award for Export in 1966, as a whopping 40% of their output was sent across the world. The Sprite 400 was famously designed to be towed by the BMC Mini, which had a towing limit of 400 kilograms, hence the name. As you can imagine, that is a phenomenally low weight, but back in the day, most family cars were really small and compact, so it was necessary that a caravan would be suitable to tow with the new breed of small compact cars that were emerging in the 1960s. Here in this 1966 brochure, Sprite are recommending that you tow it with a Hillman Imp, if you can believe that you could squeeze a family of 4 into a Hillman Imp and then put a caravan on the back for the weekend. No wonder caravans have a reputation for being slow. But the Sprite was cheap and cheerful, and back in 1966 you could buy this entire caravan for just £250. For that, you didn't get much in the way of technology. In fact, all it came with was a 2-burner gas hob, a gas lamp, and you could pay your dealership a little bit of extra money, £3 to be precise, to get a water foot pump fitted. Luxury. It will be a few years later, in 1972, that my grandparents bought this caravan second hand, and it was amazing that people were so resourceful back then, because straight away the first thing they did would be to make new curtains for it and fit a proper carpet. They felt that it was a real luxury pastime having a caravan. It didn't really matter that it was Sprite. All their friends had tents and were used to drying out canvas and sleeping on the ground. So to have a caravan that was warm, dry and cosy was really something luxurious. For the next 20 years, they would take the Sprite all over the country and indeed all over Europe as well. But initially, the first thing they did was join the Caravan and Motorhome Club, or the Caravan Club as it was known then. The great thing about the club, and something that's not changed over the last half a century, is that they are really the default organisation to belong to, because they just have all bases covered. The Caravan and Motorhome Club remain the institution for all things caravanning, camping and motorhoming. So they joined the club back in 1972 and straight away got their sites directory, as it used to be. And we're seeing the beginning of the change in campsites in this country, because casual camping, as it was known and was probably the most common way to use a caravan in the early days of caravanning, was outlawed by the British government in the mid-1960s. So by the early 1970s, campsites have started to really progress and change, as this is the default way in which people now have to use their leisure vehicles. But they're still a long way from what we're used to today. Back then, you would have pulled up on site onto typically just a grassy area. The pitches were fairly arbitrary, so long as you maintained a decent distance from your neighbour, and you were free to pitch up and park more or less how you wanted. The Caravan and Motorhome Club were pretty groundbreaking for introducing more standardised pitching methods, just to ensure that everyone got an equal amount of space and people weren't going to park dangerously close to each other, because of course in those days, when you've got gas lamps for lighting, I think I'd want a decent fire gap between me and the next caravan as well. Before my grandparents even took to the road, of course they had to stock up with the latest accessories. Whereas nowadays we'll be busy choosing which 12-volt TV we want or which Wi-Fi package we want, back then the choices were a lot more simple. Do you want to carry your water container or do you want to roll it behind you? Were pretty much your only options. Back then we would have to keep fetching the water by hand and then it would be pumped via a foot pump to the sink. Today, caravans have state-of-the-art water systems with hot water as well, and of course the Caravan and Motorhome Club have moved with those times, and you can now have a fully serviced pitch that you can plumb your caravan into the mains water and the mains wastewater outlet as well, so you don't have to fetch water all weekend, which to me seems like a very luxurious prospect when I'm staying in this caravan. Another must-have accessory back in the 1960s and 70s would have been a toilet tent. Of course, this caravan being so small doesn't even have a room to store a toilet in. Back then, you would have had a very rudimentary portable toilet known as a bucket and chuck it. I'll leave your imagination to fill in what that might have looked like. But that would sit inside the toilet tent that would be pitched just next to the caravan, and it's something that you'd have to grapple with in all weathers. And yeah, pretty much every caravan on site would have had one. Of course, as the decade progresses in the 1970s, toilet blocks become more common, but they're still very basic, cold, rudimentary spaces, which is a very, very big contrast to what's on offer today. Campsites like this one, the Caravan and Motorhome Club site in Winchester, has true state-of-the-art facilities that are heated 24/7. You have plenty of toilets to choose from, warm showers, sink areas, even inclusive family washrooms, and there's even a place to do laundry on site. So it's come a very long way in that respect, and actually nowadays probably most caravanners and motorhomers will prefer to use the on-site facilities rather than using the facilities in their own leisure vehicle. Of course, back in the 1970s, most caravanners would have been quite DIY orientated. I mean, you had to be. You had a leisure vehicle that didn't have a galvanized chassis, so at the very least, you'd have to be getting underneath it every couple of years, reapplying some metal protection paint and servicing the axle yourself. And one of the things that keen DIY caravanners would have done would be to modify their caravan with the latest tech as and when it came to the market. And my grandfather was no exception. He loved to tinker and add bits in the caravan, and one of the first things he did was add mains electric to this very caravan in the mid-1970s. The irony being, most campsites didn't have electric hookup points by then, so it was actually quite rare that they got to use it when they were out and about on their travels. Of course, now all Caravan and Motorhome Club sites have electric to pretty much all their pitches on site across the network. You've got a very generous 16 amp supply, which is enough to run all the gadgets and accessories that caravanners typically take with them today. By the end of the 1970s, my grandparents had got more ambitious with their caravanning trips, and they actually ventured abroad with this caravan. Now, I just can't imagine a family of 4 sharing this 10-foot space for several weeks at a time. I definitely think if it was me, we would have fallen out on that trip. So thankfully, caravans these days are much bigger, much more palatial, and offer plenty more kit. So although some things change, some things do stay the same, because caravanning is still a great way for families to connect, spend time together, and enjoy getting out and seeing the countryside. Thankfully, the Caravan and Motorhome Club have remained committed for over a century now to remaining at the forefront of campsite design and offering their members the best and most modern and comfortable caravanning experience. If you've enjoyed today's video, please do give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Caravan and Motorhome Club's YouTube channel for more wholesome content.